All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, hopefully you enjoyed the last week without me. Chris took over. Hey, it's beautiful this time of year in Michigan, and the family went away for 4 or 5 days, 5 or 6 days actually, for a nice little vacay. So, missed ya. Happy to be back. Thank you to Chris for taking over while I was gone. Hey, if you're not familiar with this channel, if you're new to this channel, we cover the Chargers. Duh. All right. We followed this man, Jim Harbaugh, to LA to cover the Chargers. Chargers are always a team enjoyed watching growing up. Obviously, you see Hutch over here. We are from Michigan. We are Lions fans in the NFL. Love Chargers on the AFC side. But again, huge Michigan fans, so following Harbaugh only seemed right. And so we want to bring you the news and talk about the things that not a ton of people are talking about all the time. Really kind of get into the weeds and enjoy kind of the finer things of the offseason, the regular season, and everywhere in between. And found a great article on Bolts from the Blue talking about two Chargers who they believe will become starters during the 2024 season. And I have to be honest, it actually makes sense. One of the two players, let's just get into it, are Tarhe Still and Justin Eboigbe. And here's the deal. Let's start with corner Tarhe Still. I think, me personally, I was jacked up about the other corner that they drafted, Cam Hart. But then in the very next round, they went and they took Tarhe Still. And the closer it gets, and the more you dig into the numbers, the more you dig into the stats, the more you've kind of realized that Tarhe Still may be more of a Jim Harbaugh corner, more of a Jesse Minter corner than Cam Hart is. Cam Hart has the great athletic ability. I think he is going to be that trained to be that outside type of corner. I think that absolutely makes sense for him. Tarhe still has the ability to go inside and outside. And I think a lot of people look at corners and they simply look, are they a coverage corner? Can they cover the pass? Whereas Harbaugh and Minter, they have a defense. Minter runs a defense that is very cornerback friendly. All right, you've seen corners that do a good job at Michigan. Years previously to Minter being there, or McDonald, the 3 years under Minter and McDonald, corners have absolutely flourished in this system. It's the same system that corners flourish for the Baltimore Ravens, right? So it is a good one. So if you get a corner that does other things well, they'll help you in your pass coverage skills, and they'll leverage your strengths versus where you struggle. And what you see with a guy like Tarhe Still is he excels in one area that is very important to this defense, especially if you watch them play last year. It is tackling. It is stopping the run. In fact, he graded in the top 10% of run-stopping corners in all of college football last year. He was a phenomenal run defender. And to have that nickel corner that can also act kind of as a third or fourth linebacker if needed. I'm not saying he's massive. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. He's not small, right? But he can almost act and be in the box because he's already close to the line of scrimmage. It can be a player that can mess stuff up. Not only that, his coverage started to get a lot better. There are times with PFF where you have to look at traditional stats, but you also have to look at their numbers. When you look at PFF's numbers, it's not immaculate. His coverage grade is 66.3. Man coverage was a little worse. Zone coverage was a little bit better. But I like to look at something different entirely. This is a guy who's playing in the Big Ten. His first year in 2021, or at least the first year that I have stats on, he gave up a passer rating of 115.3. He gave up 6 touchdowns, had no picks. Last year in 2022, he did much better. All right, and he got much less targets. He still gave up a very high completion percentage. He gave up 34 completions on 47 targets, but only 1 touchdown and 1 interception. So now all of a sudden he's becoming a little bit more of a ball hawk. 93.9. Then last year was by far his best year. It didn't grade out great on PFF, but the numbers don't lie. on 44 targets, he only gave up 29 receptions. So it's better from a percentage standpoint. They didn't target him as much. He gave up 2 touchdowns, but had 5 picks. So the passer rating when targeted against him was 72.7. That is fantastic. And that is a player who has the makings to be doing something much better in the future. The other player that we're talking about in this one is your defensive tackle, Justin Eboigbe, right? I don't think a lot of people thought this guy was on the radar, if I can be completely honest. And he's another player who it makes more and more sense the more you look at him. Where does he excel? He excels in the exact same spot that Tarhe still excels. He's phenomenal at run defense. His run defensive grade was great. Again, a top 5, top 10% guy at his position in all of college football. In all of college football. Everybody looks at the pass rushing stats, right? They see last year he had 7 sacks. He had 5 quarterback hits. He had 18 quarterback hurries, right? So he was getting pressure on the quarterback. But the reason he fell to the 4th round is because a lot of that felt scheme, or a lot of it felt like he lucked into those sacks. Like, nobody's blocking me, so I guess here I go. But what he was there to do and what he was so good at in the SEC, even though he's south of 300 pounds, what he was so good at was stopping the run. Some people just simply know how to use leverage. Some people have the ability to do it. So if you want him to work inside and stop the run from the inside, but also give you a little bit of a pass rush, he can do it. If you want him to set the edge on the outside, if you want him to hold the line against a tackle, he can do it, right? So 3 gap, 5 gap, 7, like he can do all of these things and he can stop the run. So it might not sound sexy, right? But when you draft players that simply tackle well, that are where they're supposed to be, then all of a sudden you're realizing, like, this makes sense. This is a good thing. It's a good thing. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at with both of these guys. So as we run into training camp starting up really soon here, right? We know the players that we all want to talk about, the rookies that we all want to see, early picks. What are we going to see out of our shiny new toy at right tackle with Joe Alt? What are we going to see at linebacker? What are we going to see with McConkey? What are we going to see with all these guys? How about we have the conversation about some of these guys later, and can they produce? Because if some of these later round picks can produce and play well, not just McConkey and Colson and Alt, but guys like Still or Hart or Eboigbe or these guys, if they can be good contributors and contribute to the depth, now all of a sudden, this is a team, when you look at the schedule, that actually can compete to make a playoff spot. And by the time the playoffs start, it might be the best version of themselves because these rookies are the most experienced at that time. So those are my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy to be back. Hope you're happy too. If you like the channel, feel free to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.